Sixth grade, we are ready to pick up the second part of lesson 8. We got introduced to King Philip of Macedonia. He spends some time in Greece, learns about the Greek things, works together to start to conquer Greece and use Greece to conquer the Persians. He starts to win many battles and has pretty much conquered Greece. He's ready to now go after Persia when he is killed, and his son Alexander then comes to power, and Alexander's going to pick up where his dad left off and say, let's go after Persia. So we starting down here at the bottom. You got your notes sitting there, and right from the start, we're going to start filling in number 1. In the spring of 334 BC, Alexander led about 40,000 Macedonian and Greek soldiers into Asia Minor. Their goal was to defeat one of the strongest armies in the world, the Persians. Alexander's cavalry, or soldiers on horseback, proved to be a stronger force. They fought a battle at Granicus in what is today northwestern Turkey. In that battle, Alexander's cavalry crushed the Persian forces. Alexander's forces continued to march across Asia Minor. They freed Greek city-states that had been under Persian rule. Okay, so he starts off, we got the first battle, guys. It's not what you need to write down in your notes, but start to think of some of these cities that you can write down when we ask you on your test to list the places where Alexander won battles. I'm going to show you the famous pictures of Alexander the Great. This right here, they take this battle scene right here, and then they usually zoom in on this is Alexander the Great leading into battle. Okay, what I'm really going to do is I'm going to pop on this guy for a second to open this thing up. You can see what's going to happen. This is Macedonia up here. They start out by going down and conquering into Greece, guys. That's what King Philip did. Then Alexander's going to turn this thing around and start flying through Asia Minor here. So you can see this first battle that you had listed there. And then he's going to move right through here, wrap down, wrap around today, go all the way here. So you can see Persia here, guys. This is the Persian Empire. The Greek city-states are around here, and this is under Persian control. Okay. A year and a half later, in November of 333 BC, let me shrink this back down so I can flash at the notes for you, so you're cruising through number 2 here. Alexander fought the next major battle against the Persians in Issus, in Syria. Once again, Alexander's military skills resulted in a victory. The Persian king Darius III was forced to flee from Issus. So he's starting to push his way in here, guys. You can see on this as we get more and more battles. So Alexander, it's not like I'm going at 100 miles an hour. We fought the first one, nice, slow and steady. It took him a year and a half till we got to the next major battle. And just understand these are the next major battles, guys. So you had this place of Issus in Syria. Alexander and his troops did not pursue Darius, though. Instead, they moved south along the Mediterranean coast. In early 331 BC, they conquered Egypt. Alexander built a new city in Egypt and named it Alexandria. Number 3 in your notes. So he's pushing the Persians out, guys, and you can see this green of the Persian Empire. Instead of cruising with Darius as he retreats, he says, nah, I'll let him retreat, and I'm going to go down here and I'm going to take care of Egypt. Egypt is obviously, guys, when you study Egypt, you knew how important it was. The Nile River gives you nonstop food. And so what he's doing is he's building the port city right here of Alexandria, gives him access to the nonstop food. So Alexandria is named after himself. As a center of business and trade, Alexandria became one of the most important cities in the ancient world. It remains a vital city in the Mediterranean region today. Alexandria is important in the Bible, guys, as we study the New Testament. The book of Acts talks about the Apostle Paul's missionary journeys, and on one of his missionary journeys, he meets a man named Apollos, a native of Alexandria and a brilliant genius of a man. We'll learn why Alexandria is not only one of the largest cities in the center of business, but it's also going to be the center of knowledge. It's where you go to become educated. In late 331 BC, Alexander's army headed back north. He turned eastward and invaded Mesopotamia. Now ruled by the Persians, Alexander's army smashed Darius's forces at Gaugamela near the Tigris River. I think that's number 4 in your notes. After this victory, Alexander's army took over the rest of the Persian Empire. So you can see, as we're cruising along, 334, 333, 331, late in 331. He's out here continuing the fight as they move on there. After he conquered Persia, Alexander did not stop. In 327, he marched his army into northwestern India, number 5 in your notes. There he fought a number of bloody battles. His soldiers were tired of the constant fighting, and they refused to go further. Alexander agreed to lead them home. So I'll see if I can zoom out here, guys. So he conquers them. He now takes over the Persian Empire. He continues to roll through here, and this is somewhat guesswork, guys, exactly where he went completely. We know he have evidence of getting out here. We don't know his plan. In other words, we have from written journals the guess of his soldiers said, we're not going any farther with you, turn us around or go on by yourself. If Alexander wanted to keep going until he hit an ocean, there were some that believed he was going to head into China. And in the end, he turns back around. He's going to start to bring them back home, guys, because it's literally years and years and years of fighting. You can imagine that. Can you imagine we're in 334, 333, 331, 327. Okay, it's now been 7 years since I've been home. I've been constantly on the run, and the time's not up yet. We're not even home yet, and we're going to see what the trip home was like for them, but that's Alexander. Okay. On the return march, the troops crossed the desert in what is now southern Iran. Heat and thirst killed thousands of soldiers. So you're cruising down here, number 6 in your notes. At one point, a group of soldiers found a little water and scooped it up in a helmet. They offered the water to Alexander. And this is the story according to a Greek historian. Alexander, with a word of thanks for the gift, took the helmet, and in full view of his troops, he poured the water on the ground. So extraordinary was the effect of this action that the water wasted by Alexander was as good as a drink for every man in the army. Okay, guys, you can see as we talk about what makes the characteristics of a leader what Alexander did. His soldiers have such respect from that when they found water, they're all saying, dude, we are dying of heat and thirst, but who gets the first drink? Alexander gets the first drink. So they go to Alexander and they say, here's some water. Now, Alexander obviously wants a drink of water too, but what does he do? He says, why would I get a drink of water and nobody else? So he dumps it on the ground. What's the message? Soldiers, I don't think I'm better than you. I will suffer with you. If we all don't get something, then none of us get it. What an awesome leader. Lead by example, right? Never expect your troops to do something that you're not willing to do. I expect my troops to keep walking without a drink of water. I'm going to keep walking without a drink of water. In 323 BC, Alexander returned to Babylon, one of the Persian cities now under his control. The hardships of the journey had wrecked his health. Suffering from wounds and worn out by fever, Alexander died. He was 32 years old. So you had number 7 in your notes, guys. He starts at the age of 20 on this battle quest. He never makes it home. I've seen a lot of books that say he was 33. So extra credit number 1. Alexander might have been 33 years old. We don't know for sure, guys. I think the first history book written about Alexander was written about 500 years after he died. So somewhere around 200 AD, we started writing about Alexander the Great. So you can imagine in 500 years, some of the exact facts might have been lost, including the dates of these things. Alexander passes away. Alexander was a great general who feared nothing. Number 8 in your notes. He rode into battle ahead of his soldiers and marched into unknown lands. The key to Alexander's courage may have been his early education. As a boy, Alexander read the Greek epics. His role model was Homer's warrior hero, Achilles. Today, Alexander is called Alexander the Great. Taught by Aristotle, guys, the Greek philosopher. Achilles is that warrior hero, just amazing. Alexander's armies extended Greek rule over a vast region. They spread Greek language, ideas, and art and architecture throughout Southwest Asia and Egypt. Alexander's successes marked the beginning of the Hellenistic era. Number 9 in your notes. Hellenistic means like the Greeks. The Hellenistic era refers to when Greek culture spread to the non-Greek peoples that Alexander had conquered. That's why our Bible is written in Greek, guys. Okay, the New Testament was written in Greek when it was first written down. It's kind of interesting. Macedonia, King Philip conquers Greece, but loves the Greek culture, and so his son Alexander was trained in Greek, read the Greeks, and spread the Greek culture everywhere he went, even though he had conquered them. Alexander planned to unite Macedonians, Greek, Egyptians, and Asians in his new empire. His dream of creating one great empire, however, didn't last. After Alexander died, the generals divided the empire, number 10 in your notes, into 4 separate kingdoms. The kingdoms were Macedonia, 1, Pergamum, 2, Egypt, 3, and the Seleucid Empire, 4. So the second blank in number 10 in your notes. People who served in the government of the Hellenistic kings had to speak Greek. So Greek is this language, guys. That's why our New Testament was written in Greek. It was actually very nice for us as far as spreading Christianity because everybody was supposed to speak the same language. So as a disciple, I might be said, hey, go here, or go here, or go here. I'm like, man, all these foreign countries, what am I supposed to do? Speak Greek. They all speak it, or they all should. It was kind of like today. English is the world language, guys. And so if you want to compete in a global business, you'll learn to speak English. Now, for us, that's easy. That's our home country. But that's why there's so many foreign exchange students, like at Wisco and stuff. Why do so many people from Asia come to Wisco? It's not necessarily because of Christianity, guys. It's to get a good grasp on the English language. Their parents want their kids to have an advantage in the world. And that was one of the things. You learn to speak Greek. The Hellenistic kings preferred to give jobs, number 11 in your notes, to Greeks and Macedonians. In this way, they were able to keep control of the governments. So now it's how do we rule this big kingdom? Well, we give jobs to Greeks and Macedonians. In other words, Greeks, I got a job for you. You just got to move here, or 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 move wherever you went conquered. By 100 BC, Alexandria in Egypt was the largest city in the Mediterranean world. Awesome, right? It included 2 excellent harbors and a towering lighthouse. It stood on a harbor island with a burning flame at its top. The library of Alexandria had the largest collections of writing in the ancient world. Okay, if you remember way back in the day, we studied ancient wonders of the world. Extra credit number 2 in your notes. The lighthouse is one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. It's not a lighthouse with a light, guys. They explain it to you. It's just a huge fire on the top of it. It has eventually crumpled into the Mediterranean Sea today, but for the first time, ships can come into Alexandria in the night. Brilliant. The library, super famous. Every boat that came into the harbor, if you had any books, it had to be copied before you left. And so this library, guys, made it the place you went to because it had all the knowledge of the world in it. So a boat from India that eventually traveled around into the Red Sea and got near here, they would copy its books before it left. Books out of anywhere would have been copied in Alexandria. The Hellenistic kings also created new cities and military posts. These new Greek communities needed architects, artists, engineers, and philosophers. Hellenistic rulers encouraged Greeks and Macedonians to settle in the conquered lands. Number 13 in your notes, these colonies spread Greek culture widely, from Egypt all the way to India. The other blank in 13. So this is how the Greek culture spread, guys. Number 1, Alexander the Great spreads it like crazy. And then number 2, the encouragement in the years after him. I mean, we're in 100 BC, guys, so 200 some years after him. Hey, guys, if you move here, we have good jobs for you. And we want to keep building the cities around here just like what we had up here in Greece. So if you want a job, architects, artists, engineers, philosophers, military people, government people, get out here. And so this spreads that Greek culture everywhere they went. Awesome. You see the man, Alexander the Great, and what made him a fantastic leader, guys. Some of those things, as I look at history, say, what can I get into my life? Never ask somebody to do something I'm not willing to do myself. And so often we have to be able to do that. I always think about that as a teacher. We'll go to lunch last year, and you're supposed to have silent lunch, and the kids are supposed to sit silently, and yet the teachers want to talk to each other to discuss things. Now, sometimes teachers have to do that, don't get me wrong, but so often my first thought is, nope, I can't go talk to a teacher right now because that sends the wrong message to my students. It says, students, you have to sit quietly, but I don't. That's not fair in the students' minds. And so one of the things I have to do as a teacher is if I expect my students to be silent, I'm going to be silent as well. So think about that in ways that you can be a great leader yourself. Have a blessed day.